Hi, this is Kate from Izzalicious Designs, and today I'm going to be doing another part of my project, and this is Build a Boy. And as you can see, he comes in separate pieces. So we have trousers, we have shirts, and we have faces. Okay, and we attach our faces to our shirts, and we then attach our shirts to our trousers. And would you look at that? He's standing up. There we go. So this is what we're going to be making today. I'm going to start with a face. So we'll start at the top and we'll work our way down. So we're going to do a standard face. Let me move everything out of the way so I'm not obscuring your view. I'm going to do black hair, and I'm using the Rainbow Loom skin tone. I think this is actually the slightly darker one, it's the tan, but that's alright, we'll say our guy's been out in the sun. Our loom is going to be an offset configuration. Columns 1 and 3 are going to be slightly lower than column 2. The arrow is facing towards you. If you don't have an arrow, it means the open part of the peg is facing towards you. And we're going to be double banding, which means you take 2 bands and you place them on the peg together as if they were one. Now the faces are sort of a standard face, and we do the hair first, the outline of the hair. Now guys are pretty easy, so I'm not doing anything too flash and jazzy with their hair. I'm literally just going to do the shape of the hair. I'm then going to move to some skin tone bands to do his face, and we typically do 2 skin tone in the middle like this. And remember, I am double banding, it gives your figure a stronger, more robust shape to it. Then down the sides we do 1 each side, and then we connect at the chin to the jaw like this. Now, we obviously don't want all of this face to fall apart. We need to tie it together horizontally. So take a single band and stretch it over these 3 bottom pegs in the shape of a triangle. And for the eyes, we're going to take a single band and we're going to twist it 3 times. So once, twice, 3 times, and stretch it across where we're going to put the eyes. And this band stops these eye beads from sinking to the back of his head. Now the beads I'm using today are the mini pony beads. If you don't have those, you can just use black bands. So take a single band and wrap it once, twice, 3 times on your hook, and do that again, once, twice, 3 times on your hook, and you would slide those onto a single flesh tone band. I'm sorry, I'm being a bit silly here. I've got a cut right on the end of my index finger, right where I do everything, which is really annoying. So if we were doing bands, this is how we would do it. Place them over like this, spread the eyes out so that you've got one either side, and then you would split the band in half, take the top part and move it across up above that peg, and the other side of that band stays below. So that's how you would do eyes if you were using bands. If you're going to do beads, you thread your bead onto whatever threader you happen to be using, whether that's a metal threader. I've got a tutorial on YouTube how to do that with a twisty tie. You can use dental floss, and you're going to thread them onto a single band. Place them across like this, and then all we're going to do is spread the eyes out and again lift this part of the band up and over and even out the eyes. Now our last piece that we need to do for him is to put an end cap here, because if we were to loop this up he's going to fall apart. There's nothing to stop. He doesn't have a body to connect to. So take a single band, place your hook through it, wrap once and twice, and take that band and slide it over this peg here. Then you're going to dig down past that end cap and grab the 2 top bands. Hold the end cap in place so it doesn't fly off and hit somebody in the face, or worse yet, fly off and have your cat eat it. Yes, that happened to me just this past week. Loop across to the other side, dig down past the end cap and grab the middle band and loop up. Let's loop up here and loop up here. We'll loop up the sides. Push the crossover bands back with the back of your hook and loop up. Push the eye bands back and grab those 2 black bands and loop up. So you're just going for those 2 bottom bands and looping up and loop up, and now we'll go to these 2 side pieces of hair. There's one and there's the other. Now we need to tie this off. So take 2 black bands. My cat's called Bags, Bagheera, so I was busy thinking of him. Put them on the end of your hook. Now if you twist your hook as you pull it through, the back side of the hook, which is smooth, will go against these bands instead of the front side, which has got a hook, so you won't snag anything. Pull it to the back side of the peg, this peg here, and take the 2 that are closest to you, up, over, off, let go and pull, and that's now a slip knot. I use the back of a metal hook to help me take things off my loom. I really detest having broken bands, and I feel this just reduces the pressure a little bit on those bands. So take this off. Now somebody did ask me about mouths. Here's our little face. If you wanted to add a mouth, and I'm not in this particular series, but I will show you how to. The way I like to do it is take a single band and with a pair of scissors snip one side, okay? Then with a fine hook figure out where you want the mouth to be. Now usually it's on this band here, so poke your hook, stab him through the face. That's my best part. Stab him through the face. With the band that you just cut so that you've got a straight line of it, fold it in half, and where that little piece is in the middle, you're going to pull that through to the back of his head and then let go of one side and keep pulling so that he's suspended on the middle of that thread like that. Then marry up on the other side where you want that mouth to come through, poke your hook through, make a little loop and pull it like that. And all you're going to do at the back here is tie that in a knot. Stop laughing, you know what I'm like about knots, I'm awful at them. Oh, see, I knew I'd mess it up. I need itty bitty fingers. There we go. So there's a knot, and what you're going to do, there's his mouth. If you need to pretty it up, put your hook under, pull it through a bit like that. There's his mouth, and then you would trim these so that they're not too long. Like that. Okay, now I don't want a mouth on mine, so I'm going to cut that off. But that just shows you, if you were doing a female figure, you can do the mouth with a little red band. That looks quite cute too. These tie-off loops that we have left, you're going to grab your hook and gently and discreetly pull them back behind some of these bands that make his hair at the back. And we're just going to sort of hide them under there. Now you can use a clip if you choose to tie them off. I'm actually quite secure in the fact that I know that there's a slip knot there, and I really don't think they're going to go anywhere. So I'm just going to pull them behind these bands like that, so that there's no clip, and there's his little face. Now, an important part to note is this is that end cap that we used, and this is the space that we're going to be using to attach his neck to his body. Okay? So next we're going to make his shirt. Now as you can see, I have not tied this off. Those 2 loops for his neck are attached to a twisty tie, and that's what I've been using to keep them from unraveling when I'm not using it. I guess for use of a better word, it's its coat hanger. I do have some clips which are quite sweet, and I was using those for the girls, but I just shoved a twisty tie on. So let's make a shirt for our little chap. Now I'm going to start with some flesh tone. Again, my loom is going to be in an offset configuration. Column 2 is higher than column 1 and 3. We're going to start by doing shoulders, which is a bit unusual because you'd normally want to just start with a head, but we're not. And we're double banding. As you know, that's 2 bands over the pegs at the same time. And this time I'm going to do a black t-shirt. Now we need to go down 4 here, so this is number 1, 2, 3 and 4, and the same on the other side. 2, 3, I can see there's a broken band there, and 4, and now let's do some down the middle. Now these ones you're going to stop on the peg that is slightly below where 1 and 3 are. So that's here. So you've got 1, 2, 3 and 4. Now 2 bands, and you go from either side. And again, if you have a look at this, we've got 3 columns but nothing connecting them in. So let's take some crossover bands, which is a single band, and stretch it across these 3 pegs, and the same above it, and the same above it, and this kind of just meshes them all in together. And it would probably be very helpful if he had some arms. Single band. Oh, I don't like this hook, let's choose a bigger hook. Put your hook through, wrap it once and twice. Those are his fingers. Slide it onto a pair of flesh tone bands. That's his hand. Now I'm going to have him in a short sleeve t-shirt, so we will go 1 pair and another pair. Now traditionally we have 5 pair of bands for an arm, not including the end cap. So we've got 1, 2, 3. Now we'll do 4. Our 4th pair is going to be black, and our 5th pair is going to be black, and that's to depict the sleeve of his t-shirt. And that's going to go, oops, I can see a broken band. Thank goodness we saw it now, not later. Let's get rid of that one, and we'll do that 5th pair again. So take your pair and slide them on, reclaim the end of your band, and that's going to go here on the shoulder. Let's do another one for the other side. A single band, put your hook through it, wrap it once and twice. They're his fingers. Slide onto a pair of flesh tone for his hand. Another pair of flesh tone, and then 1 more pair of flesh tone. Oops, dropping bands. And now we need 2 pair of black bands for his shirt sleeves. So there's 1 and there's 2, and that will go on his other shoulder just here. Now last but not least, we need an end cap, and the end cap is going to go here. And again, just like with his face, we're not extending down to trousers, so we need to finish here. So take a single black band, wrap it around your hook once and twice, and we will pop that onto that peg there. We're ready to loom up. Dig down past the end cap, and you're going to grab the 2 top bands. Now in my case it's these 2 here on the right. Hold the end cap and loop across to the right to the corresponding peg. Dig down past that end cap, grab the next 2 top bands, and they go to their corresponding peg, as do the lucky last, which get looped up. We'll loop up a little bit here, and we'll loop here. Now where you have the crossover bands, dig down and find those 2 bottom bands and just loop them up to the peg above. When you get to the arms, dig down, find those 2 bands, loop them up, and then dig down, and we're finding 2 skin tone bands and loop them to the neck. Same on the other side. Push back those crossover bands, you don't want those looped in. Alright, dig down. Now remember, you can make this shirt whatever style you like. If you want to do a long sleeve shirt, you would just do the fingers, which are the end cap, and the hand, and then these 2 pair you'd make the same colour as the rest of the shirt. If you wanted to have a jacket, for example, like this one, as you can see, I've done the full length sleeve, and then I've done the middle column white with red for a cummerbund, and then the sides are black to show that it's a jacket, and I've put a little band there as a bow tie. So it's completely up to you how you want your little top to be. Loop that last one in. Now we're going to get a pair of skin tone bands, dig your hook down the middle and out the side, pop your skin tone bands on, twist your hook so the smooth side is going to go against those bands, pull it up through the middle of that peg and out to the back side of it, and reclaim the end of your bands. We're not tying off, this is how we're leaving it. Okay, so now what we need to do is take a hook or something to help us and gently ease this off our loom. Now you can put your twisty tie on and not be holding it like I am if you choose to, that's completely up to you. Oops. So here is our little black t-shirt. Now a thing to remember is you can use whichever head you want. You've got a variety, as long as the skin tones match, you can add whichever head. We're going to add the one that we just made. So what you're going to do with this band that we've tied off with, or we haven't tied off with, you're going to take the side, the 2 loops that are closest to the end of your hook, off your hook. Okay, make sure they don't go anywhere, hang on to them. You're going to push your hook through, do you remember we talked about the end cap? Push your hook through that end cap, making sure that the eyes are facing frontwards. You're going to grab the 2 bands that you let go of so that you have the head trapped between the 2 neck bands, like that. You're going to pull these 2 bands from the back of the head through the end cap of the head to the front, and then take the ones closest to you up over that loop and pull tight. It's a form of a slip knot. Splay them out and pop the head through like that, and then just make sure it's not too twisted. But there you have attached his head to his body. Now the fun part begins. We're going to make some pants. So lastly we need to make pants for our little man, and we're going to do that on a single loom. And what you're going to do is turn your loom upside down using your Rainbow Loom hook. You're going to use the back end of it, which has the base removal tool, and you're going to take the big base off. We don't need that. You're then going to push the middle column out. We don't need that. Okay, and so you've just got 2 columns and you've got 1 base and 2 base, and I'm just having both sides facing me, as far as the open side of the peg, the arrow facing towards me. They're both going to be the same height. Now we're going to start off with black for his shoes, and we're going to use 8 pegs, but not all at the same time. So take a single black band and do a figure 8 like that, and do another figure 8 here, another figure 8 here, and another throw your loom around, and another figure 8 here. This is one leg. Then here we're going to do a figure 8, a figure 8, a figure 8, and our last figure 8. Push them all down. Okay, now depending how many rows you want for shoes is dependent on how many rows you do of black. Okay, I'm going to do 3, so I'm going to do another row here of black, so I like to say that my shoes are 3 rows. And we'll do the same up here. Everything you do to the top one, you do to the bottom one. Okay, they have to be equal, otherwise you're going to have lopsided trousers. So that was row 2. Let's do row 3. And these are single bands that I'm stretching across. And the same here. Push everything down. Okay, just like when we're doing our standing skirt, we're going to be doing much of the same technique. Take your loom, make sure that things are nicely layered. You don't want too many crossovers. You want them to be in the right order. You're going to take the 2 bottom bands. Okay, in my case, guess what? They're 2 black bands, and they will be for you too. Take them up, over, and off. And the same here. And the same here. Make sure you're just taking the bottom 2. Okay, and then do exactly the same this side. Bottom 2, up, over, and off. Now when you started, you had 6 bands on your pegs. You now have 4. Push each of those 4 down. Those were the shoes. We now have 6 rows to do of his pants. So I've decided that the trousers I'm making today are going to be grey, and we're going to do 6 rows initially just on these 2 little 4 squares, these little squares. So there's row 1 for that one. You're not figure eighting, you're just placing them one on top of the other, like that. So we dig down, find the bottom 2, and pull them over. Bottom 2 and pull them over. As I said, this is row number 1 of the grey. Bottom 2, pull over. And if you are like me and have a memory like a sieve, it sometimes helps. I'm trying to make sure that I'm not, yep, that's right, to jot what number you're at down on a piece of paper. Push all of these down. And now we're on row number 2. Take the bottom 2, which are easy to distinguish for me, they're the bottom 2 black ones, and flip them over. Push everything down. And we will do row 3. And I'm just going to plug my phone in before the battery dies on me. Row number 3. And again, take the bottom 2, and it gets more difficult when you're just dealing with the same colour, I have to admit. But try and just take those bottom 2 bands and flip them over. And push everything down. Okay, we're at row 4. And take the bottom 2 and flip over. Push everything down. Now we're at row 5. Bottom 2 and flip over. I can see that's too many there. Let me see if I can split that up a bit. Haha! Yeah, I did it. Push everything down. We're at our last row of this particular bit. So this is the 6th and final row of this particular part. Again, dig down, find the bottom 2 bands and loop up. Push everything down. We have 5 more rows to do. Still with grey, you're going to take 1 band and you go across this space now. Where we didn't have anything, we now are. So you've got 3 here. You're still going across. Okay, and again you're going to dig down and find the bottom 2 pegs, bands, and loop them up. Now feel free to pause the video. I have one that is on my 5th row of this, and I'm going to jump to that. You are going to do another 5 rows. That was 4, I'm sorry, because we need 5 rows. So we done, that was row 1 where we include this bit here. Okay, I'm going to skip ahead, so pause me and then come back, and this is my 5th row of doing this. And I'm going to just take the bottom 2 up and over, and then I'm going to take my next 2 up and over, so that I'm only left with 2 bands on each peg. Okay, you can push them down a bit. So you're going to be left with 2 bands on each peg. Like that. Next we're going to take, I'm taking a finer hook, but I'm going to collect all of these 2 bands. Now I should say I want this to happen at the back of his pants, the tying off area I want to be at the back of his pants, so I'm just going to start about here. Okay, and I want 2 bands, and I think I've dropped one there. Let's see, there we go, that was tricky. So just like with the skirt, we've collected all of those bands onto our hook. Now take 2 grey bands and tie them together like that, like we do for the skirt. And like we do for the skirt, we're going to pop one side on here, and we're going to move these loops across. just like we do with the standing up skirt. Move the band through a bit, and you're going to take one side over the other, and exactly like the standing skirt, we're going to tie a knot. Stop laughing. Okay, you can laugh. I'm useless at tying knots, I know. Haha, success. There you go. And you're going to have that little tag at the back. That is absolutely fine. Stretch out your legs a bit, because they will stretch to a bit higher. And guess what we're using? A spoon. You're going to put the spoon in the crotch area of the pants and slide the pants on like this. Spread these out so that they're even, okay, and they're not on top of each other. Make sure they're spread out nicely. And then let's grab his body, and we're going to pop his body inside the bed of the spoon like that, and then slide the trousers up and off and pretty it up a bit. Now the other thing you can do is hide that loop. Go up the inside of the trousers with your hook, grab the loop and pull that back down. Now the trick to making him stand is for these to be flat, and sometimes that takes a bit of jiggery pokery, and also stretching his legs to make sure that they're the same height. But there you have your standing man in his pants that you can, if you decide to, change his outfit for. Just like that. And these ones don't stand very nicely, I have to admit. These, I don't know what I did to these pants, but they're not best. But anyway, there is your little standing man with his pants that you can change. I hope you enjoyed making him. Take care. Bye bye.